Welcome to the podcast. It starts with you, with me, Vic O'Farrell. I ask my guests, by understanding their own behaviours and personality style, what impact on their lives, both personally and professionally, has there been? What is it like to live and work with someone of your style? I mean, this is not about labelling people, putting people in boxes, or an excuse for bad behaviour. It's about recognising, understanding and respecting that we're all different. And what impact can you have on others by looking in the mirror? Because it starts with you. Welcome then to our next episode of It Starts With You. Slightly different today because I haven't got just one. I have two fabulous guests. Jasmine and Michelle, lovely to see you both, ladies. Rather than me introduce you, would you like to introduce yourself and also what it is that you've got from doing your own profile? I know we were having a conversation just before we started recording this, but what it is that you've learnt about yourself. So, Michelle, should we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a very strong background in the recruitment industry. I've got a business that offers recruitment services to the facilities management industry. And one thing that I found to be a real kind of focus is that organisations and individuals should know more about their own individual strengths and weaknesses, and that actually plays a really important part in developing a team, developing a culture. So yeah, I mean, I've always been people orientated, always worked with large teams, and I think understanding someone's characteristics is really important. So I was really keen actually to take part of this disc profiling exercise, and I was just saying before the podcast started that it the outcome for me very much highlighted what I knew already to be, my personality traits. I'm quite forthcoming. I'm very, you know, very focused on the goal, supporting people around me, sometimes taking more often than not taking the lead just because I want it to be right. But it also highlighted areas that I may struggle, and how I need to adapt and how I need to focus on my, attributes and maybe, just kind of change my ways a little bit in order to connect with those around me. It did also come across that I might be quite a difficult person to manage, and having my own businesses, I could definitely see that that would be the case. So, yeah, I thought it was a great exercise for me personally.
Fabulous. Thank you, Michelle. Jasmine, what about yourself?
So introduce myself first of all, Jasmine Dell, co-founder of Ingage FM Training with Michelle. Also founder of Dynamic FM Consultancy. Again, similar as Michelle, came together, two heads wanting to make a difference in the cleaning and FM industry. Very passionate about learning and development, very passionate about making a difference in both of those sectors. And that's how the company came about. The profiling's been fun, if I'm honest. I was really nervous about doing it. I don't really know, I can't explain why. But I was. But I'm glad that I did do it. Some interesting information has come out of it, some that we've had a little chuckle about, some that I do recognise and I can take on board, and I think it's a great way of sort of highlighting to you what you already didn't know, and maybe a few things that were in your unconscious that maybe you should make the effort to pick up on a little bit more sometimes, because self-development is so important. We never stop learning, we never stop growing, and just in the time that Michelle and I have set up our business together, it's been such a massive journey for the two of us, two independent women, two women that have already got our own businesses, coming together with a shared idea, but with different approaches to it sometimes, and that has helped me grow massively, because I've had to learn to take a little bit of a back seat sometimes, and I've had to learn to really, not that I didn't respect other people's decisions or thoughts, but to be more aware of that and more open to listening to another opinion or another idea. And so I think together we've been on a massive journey in the way that we've now come together. And yeah, there are differences in our personalities, but I think that's actually what's made our journey so successful, is that we're bringing those opposites together. And we're having a good time along the way, Michelle, aren't we?
Absolutely. And I completely echo that. You know, I think we've got some very similar characteristics, I think, Jasmine, if you would agree to that. But very different ways of doing certain things. But
Yeah.
it comes together really well. And I've also learned so much from watching you, Jasmine, and how you approach certain things. And I feel like an apprentice, actually. I've learned so much. So yeah, it's an amazing, like you say, you know, the upskilling development journey, regardless of your background or where you are in your career, you know, it's never ending, and you should always invest your time and energy to developing and taking yourself forward in your career. So yeah, I agree.
Well, ladies, I think it's great, first of all, that you both did the profile, but if the fact that you came together to set up Ingage FM, and then, you know, obviously I know you've approached me to do some partnerships with you, which I just think is phenomenal, because it's, like you said, Jasmine, it's all about self-development, isn't it? And so many times people or organizations, it's board development, it's the senior leadership get the development, new managers get the development, but you actually have taken it to grassroots level. So tell me a little bit more about why and how that came about between the two of you.
Okay, Michelle, do you want to hit on the apprenticeship side of things?
So basically, I think for working in the facilities management industry, there is a real common trend that we are struggling to attract and retain new talent, you know, and ultimately the pandemic played a part. You know, people left the industry, stayed in the industry, but ultimately, you know, we need to engage with individuals that are on, you know, that are looking at their career choices, and you know, what opportunities does the FM industry have to offer? You know, why should this be a career of choice? And I think that actually, once you know, recognize that there is a lack of talent, you know, what can be done to engage with those individuals? And Jasmine and I, you know, have always been of the opinion that actually with strong training and mentoring, and you know, exposing individuals to a positive introduction to an industry is absolutely key. It's vital. And we also recognize that, you know, businesses of all sizes don't necessarily have, you know, that infrastructure to support a strong onboarding process. And so for us, you know, in order to ensure we've got those future leaders, you need to make sure that those at entry level have a positive experience, whether they come in from the ex-forces, whether they come from prison, whether they're school leavers. And our course actually plays a part in ensuring that not only are those individuals introduced to the industry and motivated to develop their careers, but we help employers retain those individuals by setting clear expectations on both sides and a support structure. So, you know, we are channeling that course into different areas, such as supporting those from a vulnerable background, supporting organisations, CSR practices, you know, supporting learning and development managers in terms of how they train and support individuals. So there's lots of exciting things that we're doing at that apprenticeship level. So yeah, it's a great course. It's working. You know, we are finding that individuals coming into the industry, and based on their experience with our training course, you know, they are motivated, and they are, you know, looking forward and looking at ways that they can further develop their training journey and their careers in FM.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answered the question.
It did. No, it is. It's great. Like, you know, just picking up the fact that it's the onboarding process. If we don't get that right, you're setting someone up to fail, aren't you? But the fact that you also are looking not just at the apprenticeships, but you're looking at people who've come out of prison, ex-services, people in vulnerable situations. And you were just saying earlier, Michelle, about, you know, the meeting that you'd had today about the care system. You know, we all have value to bring, but sometimes because of someone's background, they're overlooked. And that's why when you first phoned me and talked about, you know, like I say, doing some partnership stuff, I was just like, so we talk about personalities and we talk about behaviours, and your personalities are very similar, ladies. You both want to be in charge, and we'll come on to that in a minute about how that works as a partnership. But as well as your personalities, which you can read from people's body languages and the words that they use, you can't read someone's values and what drives you as a human to do things. And that is where I believe the three of us, because whilst we have similar personalities, I'm far more yellow and you're far more red, but our values, my highest value is fairness. And that's what I loved about when you phoned me and said, this is what we're going to do. Would you like to come in and do some partnership? Because I just thought, you're giving people who I sometimes feel don't even get to have a voice themselves. They have a voice, but they've got nowhere to use it because people just won't listen. Our subconscious has judged them already because of their background. So tell me a little bit more about it. And I don't mind, Jasmine or Michelle, in terms of why you've chosen to help with this sector.
So I think ultimately, you know, if you break down the facilities management industry, you know, there are a lot of frontline opportunities that do not necessarily need, you know, you do not need to be qualified in order to enter the FM industry in some shape or form. And I think that then offers an opportunity for individuals that haven't had a mentoring experience, haven't necessarily had exposure to, you know, how to be resilient, you know, how to conduct yourself in the workplace, you know, what can you expect from your employer? What's expected of you? And I think that there is a huge network of individuals that just need a bit of guidance. And actually, you know, this could really resolve our issues of, you know, being an industry that's fighting for talent, you know, by giving someone that stepping stone, that encouragement, that support structure, you know, it can pave the way to a whole new career, you know, just with a bit of confidence. You know, where can that then take them? You know, in my experience of recruitment, the amount of times I've met individuals that aren't academic, but actually they've got a power they've got an enthusiasm to succeed, and they've got all the power and ability to actually go out there and build a career for themselves. But they just need that right induction, that right support. And I think it's something that what I see in organisations, the onboarding is absolutely crucial to that process. You know, companies are out there, they've got, you know, tough targets, you know, they're fighting for the success of their business. Sometimes without wanting to, that onboarding process is totally overlooked. But actually, by giving back, you know, to individuals that, you know, haven't come from a privileged background, you're doing something amazing for society. And in the same breath, you know, you're actually solving an issue that we all have to face in our industry, which is we haven't got enough talent. We haven't got those individuals coming into the industry and giving them the opportunity to progress into senior management positions. So it's looking at those individuals that have that can fill those gaps, but actually by giving them a great experience, we can really nurture them into senior roles in the industry, I think.
Yeah, I mean the original course, our like primary course that we created, was aimed at allowing the industry to fill a gap really in recruiting for salespeople. That's where the original idea was born from. I worked for a large FM company for many years, and I saw the gap. I saw the struggle of trying to recruit. So I would go out and recruit from outside the industry. Michelle experienced that herself through Bridge. So we've both had this passion to try and bring some fresh blood into the industry, and that's where this course came from, because so many people were shying away from bringing people in that were brand new because they didn't have the training, they didn't have the time to even create the training to onboard these people and give them the right start. And when they did bring people in, because they didn't have the training, they failed and they left. So that's where the idea was born from initially. But it, you know, it grew and grew from there, and then translated into the apprenticeship scheme, which now, I mean, yes, primarily it's clean and an FM, and that's where our grassroots and our history is. But actually, this apprenticeship course is relevant to any industry, because it's about giving young people that are starting out in life, starting out in their careers, the basic tools to succeed in a job. And that's what we're lacking in. You know, you're not taught it at school. You know, unfortunately, not everyone's taught it at home, and people do fail because they don't know the basics. They don't know the expectation of arriving somewhere early. They might not be confident in how to conduct a conversation with somebody else. And that's what the apprenticeship course is about, is giving people those life skills, really, to help them succeed and feel confident in their first jobs. And you know, Michelle and I, we spent a lot of time, didn't we, going through and thrashing out ideas, is what is the basics that people need, because it's great that companies now are offering apprenticeship schemes. But what we've seen is missing is actually giving them these life skills to support them and to help them, you know, manage and stick at these schemes so that they can be successful.
And I think you're absolutely right. Is the fact
sorry,
that,
Vicky.
That's right. You're right in that the fact that they're not taught at school, and society has changed. You know, I'm 53, and society has changed way beyond it was when I left school. University was a thing for real academics. I wasn't one of those. I didn't even go to college, you know, but I left school and I worked for, they were at the time called Midland Bank, and I did 5 years for them. But, you know, you joined, and I was sent to Holborn, to London, and to the Citibank as well, for a month. And you learn, and you went up there for a month, and it was residential, and you stayed there and you learn all of those skills. But I think the world has changed so quickly now that people, they give you a job out on Monday, and at Friday you should be flying. You know, they don't, is it, to me, they just don't have the time to do this onboarding, or is it that they don't have the time to do the skills? Because most people, you get a new job and you're motivated, aren't you? You turn up on day one and you are so motivated to do the job. What you haven't got is the skills to do it. There's a skills gap. But it's like they're trying to train you to do the skills, but they're knocking that motivation out of you, because suddenly you're like, oh God, I'm not really sure, did I pick this up or not? But obviously what you've put together is to hold the holes in the colander, if you like, and make sure people don't fall through.
But how does that affect the culture of your business? You know, how when it's a revolving door, when people are coming and going in a company, you know, what negative impact does that have on the people that are in the company? You know, is it a real, you know, opportunity to develop their career? Are they just a number? You know, are they cared about? You know, are they valued? And it raises so many questions that, you know, actually it needs to be taken seriously how you onboard somebody. You know, and also years ago, you know, people would stay in employment for a lot longer. You know, years ago, I would speak to people when they've been 25 years in employment. That doesn't happen now. You know, people are always looking for an opportunity to earn more money because of cost of living and the challenges associated with that. You know, what other opportunities? I want to progress. My company won't invest in training. You know, I've reached my ceiling very quickly where I am. And so it's important that we think about solutions in the workplace. And I think that's where Jasmine and I are so passionate about offering that opportunity to organisations that haven't necessarily got the time and structure to invest in it themselves. So yeah, but it's so important.
Very important. I want to ask you a question now. What I think when we first had the conversation, I was just like, I'm in, because I love it's like you say, it's the values piece of giving opportunities to all. There are opportunities for all. But what has it done for the two of you? Obviously now reading your personalities, and I've obviously seen your profiles, I can see, Jasmine, that whilst maybe detail isn't the highest bit, I can see that actually when the pressure's on, you do like some detail. But what have you learned about each other and about yourselves, suddenly going from business owners to partners?
think we've learned a lot of things. I mean, definitely learning to give and take, definitely. And we've kind of naturally moved into certain responsibilities for the business, you know, and it doesn't feel unnatural the way it doesn't to me. I don't know if it does to you, Michelle. It doesn't feel unnatural the way that it's sort of progressed. You know, I am more process driven. I am happy to, you know, run through that side of things and take something away, bring it back and discuss the highlights with Michelle. And Michelle is constantly coming up with, even when if we haven't finished the idea that we're on, she's got a list of another 10 ideas of what we're going to be doing next, you know. And I, as much as that puts pressure on me, I love that as well, you know. It's exciting. So we're complementing each other in that respect. But yeah, it's definitely taught me about a lot more give and take, which is a good thing.
Yes, and the same for me. I mean, I think Jasmine and I come together during the pandemic, you know, and actually Jasmine had just, you know, taken some time out of the industry and wanted something that complemented her consultancy business, which was thriving. And actually, you know, we just started talking about the lack of development opportunities in cleaning and FM as a whole, and, you know, people's experiences and frustrations, you know, as a result of that. And then suddenly, you know, I thought, oh my goodness, you know, I've got somebody here that is highly respected in her field, that, you know, I know has empowered individuals and taken them on a journey of growing and development on an individual and professional basis. And actually it just started to come together to create this, you know, introduction to an industry. And it's grown from there. And for me personally, you know, I am very reactive. You know, it's just my natural way. You know, I'm sort of 100 miles an hour. But what I've learned from Jasmine is to, you know, hold back, think, you know, let's make sure this is done properly. Let's make sure that we've covered everything before we move on. And I love that. You know, I absolutely love seeing where what my own areas of improvement could be and are. Because I'm somebody that has their own business, and I've always had my own business. I haven't had a mentor. And I actually see Jasmine as much as a business partner. She's actually my mentor. So, you know, and that's an incredible experience for me.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, we've definitely both grown from each other, and it's just so exciting because there's always new ideas, you know, coming about. We're always identifying a new little gap or a hole that needs plugging in the industry and outside of the industry. And I think for me, that's one of the most exciting things, is that we're not standing still. You know, we've got an offering of over 30 training and workshops now that we can deliver as multi-delegate or to individual businesses. And that's so exciting that we've got such a broad range of support that we can offer companies. You know, we're now in a position where we've actually created a model where we can be, or we are, the go-to provider for learning and development for many companies, particularly small to medium businesses that can't afford to have their own training departments, as well as the much larger organisations that can see the benefits of coming to a company like us, because, you know, we've got over 40-50 years in the industry. And that knowledge and that experience is invaluable. You know, it's great. I mean, that's why I love what we're doing, because it doesn't actually feel like we're working, because we get just to share our knowledge of something that we're really passionate about. But the fact that we can now develop that to a wider audience and make a difference in different audiences with the apprenticeship scheme as well, it's just, yeah, it's become such a joyful business, really, hasn't it?
It totally has. And I think it's also really important to kind of highlight that, you know, we've started on a CPD journey for individuals, because those that haven't come from an academic background, you know, there's no right or wrong in CPD certification. You know, it's an experience that you learn from. And actually what we've seen is it then grows the confidence to go on to more structured training and development processes, such as your level 5, your level 6, your level 7. where you're actually achieving a degree by being involved in your workplace. You haven't necessarily got to go to university to achieve those results. And it just triggers that engagement to, I can be better and I want to be better and I will be better. So it's an incredible journey, and it's not over yet, is it, Jasmine? There's lots happening, lots of exciting ideas, and
only just starting.
Yeah, we're getting going, but it's great. Love it.
And I think what you said, Jasmine, about the fact that it doesn't even feel like work. That's what they say. You do find something that you do that you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. I don't feel like I love what I do, and then it's like, oh, and I got paid for it. Amazing.
Yeah.
So if we as we come into the end of this conversation, what would you say has been your biggest learning curve from perhaps a blind spot in your personality over the being in business together, would you say?
That's a tough one.
I think for me personally, I've probably, having my own business, I've probably always learned by making mistakes. And sometimes when that is a process, you actually, it can be quite costly, and it's not always a great experience that you learn from. But I think actually opening me up to that it's not a case of things that I'm doing wrong, it's areas that I need to improve on. And and it just kind of empowers me to take that in a really positive way. If something does fail, if it doesn't quite work the way I want it to, there lies the opportunity for me to try again and make it better and actually achieve what I set out to do. So I think, the profile definitely gave me that confidence to take it personally. This is a great opportunity. It's highlighted a gap. And where there's a gap, there's an opportunity to succeed. That's how I now look at it. So it's taking criticism or failures in a really positive way and turning that into actually something that you can achieve. So yeah, I think it's made me look at the whole way of how I develop myself and my approach to understanding what could be done better. I think is my blind spot. That's my area to focus on, and a lot more listening. I'm a bit talkative, as you could probably say.
Well, that's who you are, and this is the thing. Understanding what your profile is doesn't mean about changing who you are. It's that self-awareness, and if it's helped you, that's powerful to be able to, especially as a business leader and a business owner, to say, I need to know that when things go wrong, failure is part of business. Failure does not mean I've failed. It's actually part of the success of growing. So that's a very powerful thing to say, Michelle. Jasmine, what about?
But it's actually, sorry, just very quickly, it really helps you to manage as well. Yeah. So, for example, I have my own way of overcoming, if you like. But actually, when you're managing people, it's how you then adapt to show the way for them. So it's not being critical of their experiences and areas to develop. It was quite insightful from not only a personal point of view but from a leadership point of view.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry to interrupt.
That's all right, Jasmine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just flip back to my profile and the personal growth recommendations, and I guess listening is probably a good area for me to develop. And I laugh about it because I deliver some of the training, and I do the training about you've got two of these and one of these, and use it in that proportion. It's definitely an area I probably do need to develop and work on a little bit more. I guess my passion definitely gets the better of me sometimes, and then that does switch around the amount of listening to communicating, and that's something I've definitely learned to do more since Michelle and I have been working together, because you've got to do that in a partnership. It's got to be equal. And it doesn't mean it's got to be equal, as in every single task or everything that you have to do is split 50-50, because that wouldn't work. You know, as much as Michelle and I have got similarities, we've also got different strengths and weaknesses, and you've got to play on those to your advantage. But you know, if a partnership is going to work, you've got to respect each other, and you've got to respect each other's ideas. You've got to, as much as you might start listening to something and think, well, that doesn't make sense, you know, you've got to listen to the whole story and consider it and think about it and then debate it. And that's something that you don't necessarily do as a business owner on your own. You know, we don't have to do that in our other businesses. So for me, that's definitely been a massive learning curve, a massive benefit to me, to help me grow personally. And I think it's going to be an area that's going to continue to develop for both of us. And that's so important. And that's only going to help strengthen our business and our offering even more.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you said there about two of these, one of those there, for those that are listening and weren't watching, that was 2 ears and 1 mouth. And that is something I've massively learned from running this business myself, but also being a podcast host for the last year. I have so learned how you ask a question and then you learn to shut up, which is not something that I was always very good at, if you ask my teachers. Right, ladies, so we're going to come to the end. If I know I'm going to ask you for all the details that I've already said that are going to go in the show notes, but if people want to get hold of you, where's the best place to find you, Michelle?
So we've just relaunched our website, which showcases all the courses that we have available. So our website address is www.ingage FM Training, and that's engage with an I, engagefmtraining.co.uk. We're on LinkedIn, we're on social media platforms. You can also contact me directly. My email address is michelle@engagefmtraining.co.uk. You know, Jasmine is jasmine@engagefmtraining.co.uk. But we're very active on social media. So do reach out. If you want to find out more, we're happy to help.
Wonderful. Jasmine, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, you know, we want to hear from everyone and anybody. It doesn't matter if you're not interested on booking or taking up any courses today. We just want to hear about what is a learning journey for your business. Because for us, it is about developing our offering. It is about identifying, okay, are there any other gaps somewhere else that we can be helping? So, you know, give us a call, reach out, let's have a chat, let's start learning about each other. And, you know, it's all about those relationships, isn't it? So we're open to, we want to talk to everybody, basically. Give us a call.
Amazing. And all those details will be in the show notes for you to go and find out. Thank you for your time, ladies. And I will see you very soon.
Okay.
Lovely to see you. Take care.
Bye.
See you later, Jasmine.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
How has this conversation had an impact on you? What have you learnt? What will you do differently? Do leave a review on Apple or Spotify on It Starts With You podcast. And also leave a comment down below. Do also then connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn. And why not even join the Facebook group It Starts With You and keep the learning ongoing. Thank you for listening.